What if I told you that every single day of your life you've been slowly destroying your spine without even realizing it? Sounds dramatic, right? But think about it. That constant slouch over your phone, the hours spent hunched at your desk, the way you bend over to lift something heavy without a second thought. All of these tiny habits have been silently chipping away at the most important pillar of your body, your back. The truth is, back pain isn't just an old person problem. In fact, it's one of the most common reasons people, young and old, end up struggling, sometimes for life. And here's the twist. Most of the damage is self-inflicted. We've all been doing it wrong, every single day. Welcome to the Wellness Way, where today I'm going to uncover the shocking reality of how you've been hurting your back your entire life. And more importantly, what you can finally do to stop it before it's too late. So buckle up, because once you hear this, you'll never sit, stand, or move the same way again. And if you're serious about protecting your health, make sure to hit that subscribe button so we can keep bringing you life-changing insights every week. For most of my life, I thought back pain was something that happened only to older people. My grandparents used to complain about it, sometimes my parents too. But as someone younger and healthy, I never gave it much thought. A stiff morning here, a little soreness after a workout there. I brushed it off as nothing serious. But the reality I came to learn is far more unsettling. We've all been hurting our backs for years and we didn't even know it. Here's the problem. The spine is an incredible structure, almost like a miracle of engineering. It holds you upright, lets you twist and bend, absorbs shocks, and protects the delicate spinal cord that runs right through it. Every single day, without you even noticing, your spine is working non-stop to keep you moving and safe. And yet, despite everything it does for us, we treat it terribly. We slump over our desks, hunch our shoulders toward our laptops, sit for hours without moving, or lift things the wrong way. It's as if we expect the spine to be indestructible, when in truth, it's vulnerable, and it remembers every mistake we make. I realized this harsh truth when I started paying closer attention to what doctors and physical therapists have been saying for years. Back pain is not rare. It's not unusual. Almost every single person experiences it at some point in their life. And in many cases, it doesn't just pass. It lingers, it worsens, and it becomes the kind of pain that reshapes your daily life. The shocking part is that the most common causes of back pain aren't exotic injuries or strange medical conditions. They're ordinary things we do every day. The first one is a muscle strain or ligament sprain. This is by far the leading cause of back pain. It can happen when you spend an entire weekend working in your yard, when you fall asleep in an awkward position, or even after hours of slouching in front of a screen. The muscles and ligaments that support your spine get overstretched or torn, and suddenly you wake up with sharp pain that makes simple movements almost impossible. I remember once lifting a heavy box without thinking about my posture, and I felt a jolt of pain shoot through my lower back. For days I couldn't sit comfortably, and even tying my shoes became a challenge. That was my first wake-up call. The second major culprit is herniated or bulging discs. Now, this one scared me the most when I learned about it. The discs are little cushions between the bones of your spine. They absorb shock and keep everything moving smoothly. But over time, or from an injury, the outer layer can weaken. When that happens, the soft inner part pushes out, and if it presses on a nerve, the pain can be excruciating. This is often what leads to sciatica, when the pain shoots all the way down your leg, sometimes reaching your foot. I've seen friends go through this. One of them, a young man in his 30s, thought he was invincible. Then one day, after lifting weights at the gym with poor form, he felt something snap. What followed were months of pain, doctor visits, and physical therapy. Watching him struggle to walk normally was a sobering reminder that back injuries don't care about age or strength. And then there's the slow, creeping cause, degenerative changes that come with aging. This is the one that feels inevitable, but it's also the one that reminds us why prevention is so important. Over time, the discs dry out, the joints wear down, and bones lose their density. This can lead to arthritis in the spine, loss of height, or even the hunchback posture we sometimes see in older adults. It sounds like something far away in the future, but in truth, the groundwork for this kind of degeneration is being laid every single day by how we treat our backs right now. Poor posture, excess weight, lack of exercise, they all add up over the years, quietly eroding the strength of the spine. What struck me most when I learned all of this is how universal it is. We often think back pain is reserved for construction workers, athletes, or elderly people. But no, it's students who spend endless hours leaning over textbooks or laptops. It's office workers glued to their chairs from morning until night. It's anyone who ignores those little aches and stiffness, believing they're harmless. Back pain is democratic in the worst way possible. It doesn't care about your age, your job, or your lifestyle. If you're not careful, it will find you. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that the real danger isn't just the pain itself, but the way we dismiss it. We tell ourselves, it's nothing, it'll go away. And maybe sometimes it does. But when it doesn't, when the pain becomes chronic, it changes everything. It changes how you walk, how you sleep, how you work. It limits your life in ways you don't anticipate. I've seen people give up hobbies they loved, avoid traveling, even struggle with the most basic daily activities, all because of back pain that started small but was ignored until it grew bigger. And here's the twist that really made me stop and think. Back pain is often self-inflicted. We like to blame bad luck, genetics, or age. But the truth is, so much of it comes down to the habits we build every single day. The way we sit, the way we lift, the way we move, or don't move, these are choices. And every choice either strengthens or weakens our spine. That realization hit me hard, because it meant I couldn't just shrug and say, that's life. It meant I had responsibility. Looking back, I can see all the times I put unnecessary strain on my back. Hours spent hunched over my laptop, nights where I fell asleep in awkward positions, times when I lifted something heavy with a twisted back instead of bending my knees. I thought nothing of it. But each of those moments was like a tiny crack in the foundation of a house. One or two might not matter, but over years those cracks add up until the structure itself is at risk. That's what I had been doing to my spine. So here's the hard truth I've come to accept. Your back pain isn't just bad luck. It's not just aging. It's the bill you're paying for years of neglect. But the good news is, once you see it that way, you can start to make changes. And that's where the hope lies. The more I learned about back pain, the more I realized something important. It isn't a life sentence. Yes, it can feel overwhelming. Yes, it can change your daily routine in ways you never imagined. But there's also a path forward, and it starts with small, deliberate choices. I used to think that once your back started hurting, you were doomed to live with it forever. Now I know that's not true. In many cases, the body has an incredible ability to heal and adapt if you give it the right support. For me, the first shift was simple but powerful. How I sat. I never paid attention to chairs before. I thought they were all the same, just something to hold me up while I worked. But when you sit for hours every day, the wrong chair is like slow poison for your spine. I learned to look for proper lumbar support, something that keeps the natural curve of the lower back instead of flattening it. I adjusted my desk so that my feet rested flat on the floor and my screen was at eye level. At first, it felt like an unnecessary hassle, but within weeks I noticed the difference. The tension in my lower back eased, my shoulders didn't round forward as much, and I felt less drained at the end of the day. It was such a small change, yet it gave me a glimpse of what life without constant discomfort could be. The next step was movement. I used to think exercise was just about burning calories or building muscle. But for the spine, exercise is survival. Strong muscles act like armor around the spine, protecting it from strain and injury. Weak muscles, on the other hand, leave the spine exposed. I began focusing on my core, not just the six-pack muscles that look good in the mirror, but the deeper stabilizers that keep the spine steady. Planks, side planks, bird dogs, simple movements but incredibly effective. I paired them with back extension exercises like Superman's that strengthened the muscles along the spine itself. At first, these exercises were humbling. I couldn't hold a plank as long as I thought I could. My lower back would shake during extensions. But week by week I grew stronger. The pain that used to flare up after long hours of sitting began to fade. I felt more stable when I lifted things, more confident when I moved. And that confidence mattered just as much as the physical change, because back pain isn't only about the body, it's about fear. Once you've been hurt, you start to move cautiously, afraid of triggering the pain again. Getting stronger helped me trust my body again. Lifting especially was an area where I had to unlearn old habits. I used to bend forward with my back rounded, relying on strength instead of technique. It worked, until it didn't. Now I practice the breathe and brace method. I take a deep breath, tighten my core, and let my legs do the work while my back stays supported. It's a simple adjustment, but it's the difference between protecting my spine and setting myself up for weeks of pain. Beyond the core, I discovered how much other muscles play a role in back health. Tight hip flexors from sitting too long can pull the pelvis out of position, straining the lower back. Weak glutes fail to support the body properly, shifting the burden to the spine. Even hamstrings matter. When they're weak or overly tight, they change the way the hips move, which ripples upward into the back. Once I started working on these areas, split squats for the hip flexors, Romanian deadlifts for the hamstrings, hip thrusts for the glutes, I realized that caring for my back meant caring for my whole body. But exercise alone isn't the whole answer. Lifestyle matters just as much. Maintaining a healthy weight reduces pressure on the spine. Quitting smoking improves blood flow and nutrient delivery to the discs. Taking breaks from sitting, even just standing and stretching every hour, keeps the spine from stiffening. These choices don't make headlines, but they build resilience quietly, day after day. What really struck me was how prevention is always easier than treatment. Once back pain becomes chronic, it can take months or even years to manage. But preventing it, through posture, movement and awareness, is often just a matter of consistency. I wish I had understood this earlier. I wish someone had told me that the little things I ignored in my 20s would shape how my body feels in my 40s and 50s. Now, whenever I catch myself slouching or skipping a workout, I remind myself, this is about my future, not just today. The way I see it, back pain isn't just a medical condition. It's a reflection of how we live. It's the body's way of saying something has to change. And while that message can feel harsh, it's also empowering. Because if back pain is the result of our choices, then healing is too. We have the power to rewrite the story. For me, the most powerful shift wasn't physical at all. It was mental. I stopped seeing myself as a victim of back pain and started seeing myself as an active participant in my health. Instead of waiting for pain to go away on its own, I asked, and what can I do today to support my spine? That simple mindset turned everything around. It made me more intentional, more consistent, and more hopeful. Now, when I think about the future, I don't imagine myself limited by pain. I imagine myself moving freely, standing tall, living without fear of every bend or lift. That vision motivates me to keep up the habits that protect my back. And it reminds me that change doesn't come from one big moment. It comes from small, steady steps taken every single day. So here's what I want to leave you with. Your back pain isn't destiny. It's a signal. Listen to it. Respect it. And then take action. Whether it's adjusting your chair, learning to lift properly, strengthening your core, or simply standing up more often, these changes matter. They may feel small, but they are the foundation of a life where pain doesn't control you. And if you start today, your future self will thank you in ways you can't yet imagine. When I look back at everything I've learned about back pain, I realize it's not just a story about the spine. It's a story about how we live, about the choices we make every single day, and about the consequences that come when we ignore our bodies. At first, I thought of back pain as something random, something that just happens to unlucky people. Now I know better. In most cases, it's not random at all. It's the result of years of small habits piling up until they finally demand attention. For me, the biggest shift came when I stopped treating back pain as an enemy and started seeing it as a teacher. Pain, as much as we dislike it, is the body's way of communicating. It's a signal that something is out of balance, that something needs to change. Ignoring that signal doesn't make it go away. It only makes it louder. Once I understood that, I began to listen. I paid attention to my posture, my routines, my exercises, and even my mindset. And slowly, the pain that once felt like a limitation turned into motivation. The lesson I carry with me is simple but powerful. Small, consistent actions matter more than quick fixes. Choosing the right chair, taking breaks to stand and stretch, strengthening my core, and practicing better lifting techniques. None of these things are dramatic, but together they create a life where my back feels supported instead of punished. They give me freedom, and freedom is something you can't put a price on. I also realized that back pain is about more than just the body. It affects how we feel emotionally and mentally. Living with pain can make you fearful, cautious, even discouraged. But when you take steps to regain control, it restores more than just your physical health. It restores your confidence. You stop worrying about every movement and you start trusting yourself again. That confidence can spill into other parts of your life, reminding you that you're not powerless. You have choices. If there's one thing I hope you take from my journey, it's this. Your future doesn't have to be defined by pain. Yes, aging and life's wear and tear are real. But how you treat your body today shapes how you will live tomorrow. It's never too early or too late to start making changes. The spine carries us through every moment of our lives. Doesn't it deserve the same care we give to everything else we value? So now I want to turn this to you. Have you noticed the ways your daily habits might be hurting your back? And more importantly, what's one small step you can take today to protect it? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please share your perspective in the comments below. Let's learn from each other and build healthier habits together. And if you found value in this message, don't forget to subscribe to The Wellness Way. Your support helps us keep creating meaningful content that can change lives, and maybe even save your back before it's too late.